What if Western Rome survived? This question is rather a very interesting question in the sense of that almost no alternate historian is treating this topic. And even to this day, I still find it a very interesting question if instead we, let's say, that the Byzantine Empire would survive, we would then just replace it and say, what if Western Rome survived? And I mean, there's a lot of controversy around it because many people will say, yeah, Western Rome was doomed. It was the massive influx of the Germanic tribes. They had a lot of internal problems and all of that stuff. And I mean, it's true, if we would solve all of this, we could probably also treat the subject of what if the Roman Empire survived. But we can also assume that for very different reasons, the eastern part would fall, whereas the western part of Rome would still survive. And spoiler alerts, I'm not going to talk about the Frankish Empire being more successful and being reformed into the Western Rome. No, I'm talking really about this part of Western Rome, or let's say the consistent part of Western Rome, where the capital is Rome and has a majority of Roman Latin culture. So let's try to treat this topic. And first of all, we should watch the geographical position. So we have like the north parts of the Alps and also some parts across the Rhine River, which I assume could be lost in the short run, and maybe it could be won back in the longer run. We also have like let's say the Alps, yeah, as I said before, the Alps, which can serve as a natural border. Of course, there will always be people who will try to cross the Alps and just, settle down in the areas of Italy or France or, other parts, which are very, very valuable parts where you can have good agricultural stuff and where you can actually feed your population. And it would still be a very attractive place for all these people who wanted to migrate because of these events that happened in these steppes. We are still not sure until these days if it was like some climatic change that made it happen, or if there was like something happening in China that then provoked the pre-Mongolic tribe to move on, and then yet like a sort of devil circle going on, so that when one moved, then the other moved, and so on, and domino effect. So if for some case, let's say, they could be beaten back and also in some parts assimilated, as it was usual in the Roman Empire, there could be a slight chance of success. I mean, it's not that they didn't do it in real life. I mean, they actually tried to do it. That's why the Germanic tribes, like the Goths, the Ostrogoths, the Western Goths, and so on, were moved to different places, or even the Vandals, I think. But as there was no consistent rule, and it also was like slowly decaying and falling apart, they themselves declared to be like successor of the Roman Empire because they had treaties with Rome and they were like the last one who could claim like authority of it. So we first of all need to have a very, very clear and a very strict rule from Rome itself. So if, let's say, in a situation like this, just before the let's say, before the total doom of Western Rome, there could be like tribes that conquer back some territories of the north, or of even old Germany or the old Germanic tribes. And maybe they could be halted like in parts of France where you have like a lot of hills, rivers, like this part where the original Visigoths were settled. They could maybe defend it based on the natural borders. And also maybe they could probably have also better chances in defending the city of Rome by pushing more defensive strategies around the Po Valley. I mean, just remember during the Byzantine and Ostrogoth War, it posed a huge problem to the Byzantine Empire, even with the very, very legendary general of Belisarius. So you actually need to have very concrete defensive strategies around those geographical places. I also suggest that the assimilation would work also better if you had like a direct rule from Rome. And also, in order to have this direct rule, you need all this crisis that is happening and going around, like tribes conquering then the north parts, also people who will then claim their own authority, who will then try to succeed or try to claim that they are the governor or the emperor or whatever. And in times like this, it's very, very possible that actually someone might rise up and then just say, yeah, we need to reform this, we need to do here and there, like the second Caesar, let's say. So that might be a strong possibility, and also a very huge aspect for Rome, especially Western Rome, I mean, to survive. This figure who is like unifying those parts. You could argue it could be an early Justinian, only that it's not Justinian of the Byzantine Empire, but let's say an early Justinian of Western Rome. It would have also the implication that Western Rome stays Christian. We cannot discuss if it's now strongly Christian or less Christian. I would say that probably the Emperor of Western Rome would have the same amount of influence as the Eastern Roman Emperor on the Orthodox Church. So you might have like some different dynamics within the Catholic Church. Maybe it would be just like the Orthodox Church, or it would be totally different, unrecognizable. As for the political structure, the Western Roman Empire would probably still be based a lot on the civitas, so on the urban places or cities themselves. Cities would run all the business in the countryside, and cities would also still have like this noble class, the nobility. And probably they would at first support the strict and more authoritarian Western Roman Emperor, as they could also consolidate their power. They would not be able to lose a lot. And also for the barbarians, as they are called or stigmatized, they could also win a lot with this, because they were actually also fleeing from other tribes, right? So the Western Roman Emperor could also like promise them shelter, defense, and he would also probably come to their aid if they are attacked by any of those tribes. And we could even see some kind of pre-feudalism going on, but only around the border regions, where you have like probably those tribes that will be settled in there, in order to defend the Roman Empire, but the Roman Empire, Western Roman Empire, would also defend them against those tribes. So at first it would be like a very, it would be like a relationship based on defense, mutual defense. Probably it would then go on into mutual alliance, and the more those territories will be developed, the more they will also be Romanized. So that later they will be integral part of the Western Roman Empire. North Africa would be much more Romanized and much more, let's say, European in the sense of the term of Roman or Latin. Latin would have also a lot of success in North Africa at first. There would be no disruption from the Vandals or from the Visigoths or from anyone else, except maybe the Arabs, which will come later. And also the Western Roman Empire might probably not be able to hold on to the British Islands. Maybe also a lot of the parts or territories that we know today as France would be lost. But I think the integral part of, let's say, Italy, Sicily, Sardinia, Corsica, South France, Spain, Portugal, and North Africa, they could be held. They would be like this new core territory, especially the coast. We would have also not so many differences between, let's say, French, Italian, Spanish, Portuguese, and so on. And we would also have other Latin language in North Africa. And probably you could have some similarities, let's say, as with German, where you have, like, in the north of German, other dialects that are spoken than in the south. And maybe they sound vastly different to each other, and despite of this, they still continue using the standard German, so that they understand each other. And the same could be applied for the Western Roman Empire. So probably the elite who knows how to read and write, maybe also the church and other person of authority, they would be able to just communicate in normal Latin, and you would still have this vulgar Latin, but it would still be much more connected to the original Latin. As for the Eastern Roman Empire, it's very difficult to say what could have happened with them. So in the first place, they could have probably their own kingdoms that will be established. Maybe you will actually have most of those barbarians who will be settled in Eastern Rome or ex-Eastern Rome, and you could have like some kingdoms around the Balkans, around the Danube River, probably some independent Greek states or states instead of a state. Asia Minor would probably have a strong influence of the Sassanid Empire, or the Parthian or Persian, whatever you want to call them. Egypt would also be very independent. And I think that actually there's a high chance that probably this Persian or Parthian or Sassanid Empire might be able to really rise and come back to this power that Persia once used to have in the times of before Alexander the Great conquered all of Persia. There's a high chance that also another religion might rise in there. Maybe Islam will still try to rise and conquer all of those parts. And instead of having Iberia, they might be able to have the same borders, let's say, almost the same borders as the Ottoman Empire. And then they would be slowly driven back, especially from the Greek states and from the Balkan, where you could have like a lot of crusades in a way, and also some kind of reconquista, which could then lay the basis of a very different modern Greek state. As for the Slavic population in the Eastern Roman Empire, I'm not sure what might happen to them, but probably they might be easier assimilated, as they also wanted to be part of the elite, and also they could be highly favored by the Arab invaders, because they needed local elites to run the business, whereas the Greek and the Hellenized population would be seen as disadvantaged population around those times. So yeah, I mean, if the Western Roman Empire would survive, you need A, strategic defenses around geographical borders. B, you need to have different kind of settlement policies, and also merchants, which would then be C. And to sum it up, probably the Western Roman Empire would not be the same as the Byzantine Empire. The Latin language would be much stronger and much more unified in the western half. You would have also another major Latin language in North Africa. The eastern part could probably be conquered totally by or Persia or the Arabs. And in case they are conquered, there would be a movement amongst, let's say, the Greek states and also in the Balkans that would lead to the foundation of modern states or modern nations, and they would be able to repel them if they have a lot of chance. So yeah, actually it's a very difficult scenario to present. What if the Western Roman Empire survived? I hope you have better ideas. I just wanted to give you some ideas on my own that I had. Probably I don't have a very consistent, let's say, very consistent argumentations about it, but even so, we should try to see what could have happened, make our own opinion about it, and just have a discussion about it. So see you next time on Althistory Luxembourg. Have a nice day. Don't forget to subscribe, give a comment, give a like, and watch all the other videos that I have on my channel. Have a great day.